What's up? It's Russian Asian here today with another topic of discussion. So, there have been a lot of people recently complaining about the path Marvel Studios has taken in regards of their characters. Saying, man, I can't believe White Thompson, man, I can't believe Flash Thompson isn't a buff white dude. What? I can't believe they did that with Mary Jane. She's supposed to be a redhead. Ugh. Why can't they just make new characters that are ethnically different? Well, let's break this down, okay? If you wanted plot by plot, scene by scene, the exact same story as the ones found in the original comic books of Spider-Man in the 1900s, then you should just read the comics, right? When you're making a movie, you're not making a copy of the comic book. You're retelling the story. That's what makes it interesting. You're able to compare what's different, what's better, what's worse. And having a little ethnic diversity isn't a bad thing. Unless you're part of the KKK. Now, if you wanted, ethnically different and new characters, well, then you're essentially getting rid of the old characters. So characters like MJ wouldn't exist anymore, right? Because you want a new character, you want a new world, right? And so why would you bring in essentially another MJ? If you want a new love interest for Peter Parker that's a new character and goes by a different name, why would you bring back MJ, right? Because you're telling a different story now, right? And older characters will always have more pull with the audience than newer characters because there's history behind the old characters. You can look at their past, you can look at their comic book history, and you can imagine, based on their history, what will this character do? So that's one of the reasons why I believe new characters are not the way to go. Second, why is there diversity now? Well, look at when the comic books were made. They were made during a time of higher racial tension when other races were just trying to, make it by, survive, and weren't really thinking about creating a career in the creative arts, especially a creative art that is outside of their culture, such as comic books. So of course there's little diversity in terms of ethnicities of the superheroes and the ethnicities of their significant others and their friends, and so on and so forth. I don't fault white people for writing about their own culture, their own dreams, their own problems, their own experiences. I find it very unfair when people criticize an author such as George R.R. Martin for not including black people or Asian people in their works. There's a sort of stigma out there that the black experience of living is different from the white experience of living, evidenced by the term that's been hugely inflated called white privilege. I believe that white privilege does more to undermine the efforts of hardworking white people than it does to elevate the efforts of, other races. That's just my opinion. And with this stigma, how is a white writer authentically able to portray a different race without it coming off as shallow or racist even? Now, I do believe in Hollywood there is this problem of whitewashing actors, because in my mindset I think Hollywood is saying, oh my god, most of Americans are white, we need a white actor to represent them, so they go to the movies, right? And you could easily see this in Gods of Egypt. the movie that everyone cites. So yeah, I would love to see a world where white people play white people, and black people play black people, and Asian people play Asian people, and so on and so forth. Now you're probably saying to me, hold on, you just contradicted yourself with that last sentence. Because Flash Thompson is a white guy, and Mary Jane is a redhead. Now, let me tell you why that isn't the case. It's because we're living in 2017, and the world is a lot more diverse now. You know, where white people are no longer 9 out of 10 people. They're still the majority, being 3 out of 4 people, but it's no longer so extreme. By making Flash Thompson a different race, is Marvel Studios accepting the fact, yeah, we are a little diverse nowadays. An argument I saw while I was scrolling down YouTube comments was, man, Peter Parker would be able to beat up Flash Thompson without any superpowers. But that's not the point. The point is that bullying has evolved since the 1900s. You know, bullies don't beat up kids most of the time, you know, in the lunch line asking for lunch money. They sit behind a computer screen and say, go kill yourself. Or they isolate you, you know, from friend groups because they're part of a friend group and they're like, yo, you can't sit with us. You're not cool enough. So it's more about the social games. It's more about the mental social games than it is about physical harm nowadays. Because there are more tools for bullies to use, which allows different types of bullies to, you know, be created essentially. People that wouldn't be bullies in the 1900s are now bullies in the 2017s. Okay then, so why isn't MJ a redhead? Well, let's look at why MJ was a redhead in the first place. If you're thinking about an attractive white person, you know, who do you think of? Probably someone that's blonde and blue-eyed, right? And the majority of us, including white people, are just brown hair and brown eyes. So the most attractive people, and this is proven scientifically, are the ones with the rarest phenotypes. And phenotypes are visual representations of your genes. So someone who is a redhead and has green eyes is the most attractive because you don't see many of them. You know, they're new to you. So the most attractive and exotic white person to white people in the 1960s would probably be a redhead with green eyes. And Gwen Stacy, another one of Peter Parker's love interests, is a blonde with blue eyes, right? And Peter himself has brown hair and brown eyes. So essentially, Peter is the common man hooking up with someone that is seen out of his league. And if you don't believe anything I just said, just look up hockey players' wives. Literally the whitest people I can think of, and tell me that their wives aren't all blonde-haired and blue-eyed. So that was MJ in the past. MJ in the present is of a different race, which is again to show how diverse America is becoming, and pushing the relationship between a white man and a woman of another race, I believe, is the most effective way to strip away this stigma that interracial relationships is taboo. As someone that is mixed, I literally have it in my YouTube name, Russian Asian. Specifically, I come from a Kazakh father and a Russian mother. This hits home for me. The most stereotyped interracial relationship out there is between a black man and a white woman. You know, you could easily find this out by just Googling. And you'll find a lot of content for that. I'll tell you that. So comic books have always been a medium to talk about social issues in the most subtle way. And now that the Marvel movies are doing the same, I really support that. I believe the next biggest milestone that Marvel can hit is taking a traditionally white superhero and making them another race. And that sounds really controversial, but let me tell you something. You really expect someone to believe that in a world of 7 billion plus people, where Chinese people, just as a statistic, make up 20% of people, that 9 out of 10 superheroes are white? Come on. If Marvel Studios really does take a traditionally white superhero and make them another race, I believe that's them accepting, it's unrealistic for 9 out of 10 superheroes to be white. And I fully support that move. I'm a little biased, so of course I want to see an Asian superhero. Especially one that's done right. So keep doing your thing, Marvel Studios. Because I'm really excited about the prospect of one day having a superhero on the big screen that I can relate with. Adios.